Good morning, everyone. Let's wait just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe less, let's see, and waiting for some other people to join.
Mm.
Okay, we are 12 now. Let's just give it 1 more minute and we can start. Thank you so much for being here.
I hope you don't listen the big thunders here in Leiria because we have a tempest, and it's possible that we become without light and I go down because sometimes with these thunders it's possible that we'll lose the energy. Okay, just to prepare you.
I hope not, Paulo. I hope not, but in fact, here in Porto, it's the same. So I understand you. It's a big
What
storm.
what a night we have here.
Yes, completely true. Okay, so I think we can slowly start, and then for people that join a little bit later, we can give you context, and I think that's it. So welcome everyone to our Beyond Reality and Immersive Tech Series. This is our third episode from TransMixR and Amplify projects. And this is a kind of a partnership that we did with these two projects because they have a lot in common with each other. And in fact, we thought it would be very good if we could join our knowledges. So, as I told you, this is an immersive tech series, which means that we had 3 episodes of uh, broader, how can I say, broader subjects to explore different things that in our projects we consider very important. So the first one was focused in reimagining realities, how XR and AI are redefining the creative expression. Then the second one was more about the ethical part, creative futures, ethical frames. And now we have opportunities beyond reality, exploring the new creative frontier. Let's pass. So, opportunities beyond reality, exploring the new creative frontier is a subject for today. And of course, some rules about the housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, the structure of it. So we will have a short intro of speakers and the project, more or less 5 to 10 minutes. Then we will pass to a panel discussion with our fantastic speakers. And then we will have 15 minutes for questions, for Q&As. And then if you have some question, of course, that you can put it in the chat. Whenever you want during the session, and then we will address it in the end. So, firstly, about Amplify. I'm from Amplify, by the way. I'm the communication manager. My name is Sara Canedo, and I work in F6S. By developing new digital tools powered by AI and XR, Amplify Portable and Amplify Immersive, which are our two technologies, this project aims to offer artists, cultural and creative industries free resources to explore the digital interface, also known as phygital experience. And we also had this joke that we say, let's get phygital. So this is our motto for the project. So phygital is a strong concept for us. Then we have the TransMixR project, which is reimagining the media landscape by using AR and XR technologies to turn audience from passive viewers into active co-creators of media experiences. The project aims to empower the cultural and creative sectors by building tools that truly respond to their needs. So, TransMixR is developing 4 pilots co-created with users and stakeholders to build real-world creative solutions. And we have here our 3 beautiful and fantastic speakers. So, Paulo, I will start with you. Can you present yourself?
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I will share with you with my very personal English, which is very poor, but I'm a Portuguese musicologist. All my life, I direct conservatoires, music schools, but in the last 3 decades, I give time to participatory art projects with community and special with babies. And in Amplify project, because we believe that babies have a great power to change the world, because change ourselves, each one of us, we want to give more protagonism to the babies in a concert. And in this project, we will try that the composers of the music of concerts will be the babies, using technology, of course, virtual reality, and of course, we are changing all the way of thinking a concert for babies. And it's very important and interesting for me that we as artists, we are not researchers, we don't think as a researcher, but we try to share our ways of work to look to the relation between music and people. And this project helps a lot and put on the table new challenges that open new ways to work as an artist. Thank you for being here and all the friends in the panel.
Thank you so much, Paulo. Now let's pass to Joseph Fadel. Joseph?
Hello, hi. Thank you for welcoming us. I'm Joseph. I'm a service designer at Immersion, specialized in service design and user experience. We work in developing solutions for virtual reality, augmented reality. We work with AI to provide solutions. In the R&D team, we work mainly on European projects. So as an example, TransMixR is one of our projects that we're working on. And what we try to do is to create a new type of media that is more accessible, has a very interesting social aspect, and we try to target a more inclusive aspect of new type of media broadcasting, so that we can not only justify using new technologies, but give them a full potential, and allowing them to become more than just tools, but also an extension of human perception.
Great. Thank you so much, Joseph. Let's pass to Karolina.
Hi, thank you a lot for the invitation. I'm a researcher from CWI from Amsterdam, and we mostly work with social virtual reality, which is a type of virtual reality in which we put very strong importance to the social aspect in relations with people. And for this project, I have 2 roles, let's say. Firstly, I'm taking care of a human-centric side to find out what's most important for the users, but I also develop one part of the experience for social VR experience.
Thank you so much. Now that our 3 amazing speakers are presented, they are representing these 2 projects, as I mentioned. So now we can move on to the question part. So we did 1 question per speaker, and then we have a couple of questions that each of you can answer, or everyone can answer. Let's see how it will go. So, question for Paulo first. Your work has always focused on deep human connection, as you talked. as you told us, through music and community. In the context of opportunities beyond reality, how do you see immersive or extended reality technologies expanded or possibly challenging the emotional and social dimensions of live artistic experiences?
Wow. I have a kind of dialectic relation with this subject because when I used to look to this virtual immersive reality, I always see a kind of individualistic way of feelings. All the tools, all the ideas conducts to each one of us, me. I want to have my own desire. And it's possible, of course, to achieve biggest experience as an individual experience, because even the tools, the objects put me around me, try to find my own vision. And for me, that I believe that the power of art, and we as humans, we need to build more bridge between each other. And art builds a deeper and a different bridge between each others. And when we use a tool and a device that surround me in some way and put me in an individual relation with something and the world, I always think that this maybe it's a risk for one like me that believe in a communitary experience. We are social beings. We need to touch each other. And for those like me that work on stage, music, theater, dance, we need to smell people, to touch, skin to skin. And this collective experience, even if it's in a stadium, a big stadium with a pop rock concert, it's something collective. And we need the physical presence. Anytime I see these individual tools, I become a little bit afraid that we are losing ourselves. So I need to think, okay, we need to rethink this thing. But at the same time, of course, I love this idea because, for instance, when we think in people with special needs or communities with special needs, these tools and this immersive reality could help us a lot. And in that case, we need individual experience. For instance, 25 years ago, I have done concerts for babies, but deaf babies, babies and young children that couldn't listen. And of course, it's impossible to offer a musical experience for someone that don't listen. But it's impossible if we think in the music in a traditional way, because music is sound, and sound, it's not only melody and romantic music and piano. Music experience, it's also a physic experience, a vibrational experience, which means that we try to offer low frequencies to a baby, and we have been in a cathedral with a pipe organ and low frequencies. We offer to the mothers big balloons pressed of air, and the mothers hug the babies, listen these sounds, and of course, what I aim in that time is to have an immersive tool to offer this way. And then some mothers listen for the first time babies and young children singing, because these human beings have experienced sound in a different way, because this is an analogical immersive tool. But I imagine that one of the futures of this immersive experience and new technologies to offer an artistic experience in an individual way, it's to respect those that couldn't experience music in a conventional way. With music, but also with visual arts. For instance, when blind people go to an exhibition, may have an audio description, but it's not the same. I imagine that immersive reality could offer a new experience to see a painter in a different way, that it's not to describe the same picture as someone that could see, interpret, and live that emotion. So it's possible to use this technology to offer a real individual experience for those that have individual needs.
Great answer, Paulo. I didn't know that you did concerts and activities for deaf babies, but that's so interesting. And you're right that the perception of like deaf people and blind people is very different, but we can make it worth and special. You're muted, you're muted. We have here a very interesting question for you from Elena. So for Paulo, how do the artists ensure the artists maintain the connection between the families, babies, despite the technology? That's a good question.
Well, when we play for babies, in fact, we don't play only for babies. Babies don't come alone. We are connected. When a baby is in a concert, are connected. The emotions that the mothers and the fathers and the grandparents feel in that moment affected the baby. And when we observe the eyes of the baby, the rhythmic of breathing, and the mother are totally connected with that moment, the baby are also connected. If the mother are there with no connection, the baby is not connected. So how we maintain this global total relation between the artists, the parents, and the babies with the technology. The technology couldn't disturb, and that's why we are co-designed the project with parents since 6 months ago, and we try to talk with the parents what disturbed you in a concert, what affected you. And for instance, parents told us we don't want any screens on stage because we don't want to look to a screen, we want to look to our babies. In fact, when we record a concert for babies, the parents don't look to the artists. The parents don't look to stage. The parents just look to the babies. Because what moves parents to go to a concert is to discover how my baby react to Mozart, to piano music, to a dancer. How my baby feels at this moment. So technology, if we take care of all the tools, all the objects in a way that they are there to serve a more intense and personal experience with the really protagonists, which is the babies and the children, no problem at all.
Okay, so basically this emotional part that we referred is the thing that matters the most, because you just told us that the mothers are attentive to what their babies are feeling, and that is the center of it all, right? So if there is no connection between them, no emotion, maybe babies look at their parents and think that if they are not interested, babies will not be interested in the end of the day, right? Because they are also reflecting what the parents feel about what they are seeing and listening, right?
No, totally. And emotions connected by love, because we are talking about parents with young babies. And one of the most interesting things that we are connected, all of us, by love, by a non-interested relation with someone. And in a concert, the best moments happen when we don't listen to music, we don't see the dancer, we just feel a strong energy, magnetism between each other, conducted by the babies, because we are listening that music. So emotions are the biggest energy on a concert.
Great, great. And that also influences a lot. Like, I would say that the center of your pilot in Amplify maybe is this emotion and this connection. That's why also the project is person-centered and not, you know, the rest. So thank you so much for answering. Now we are passing to Karolina. So Karolina, in the context of opportunities beyond reality, how do you see the technical underpinnings, for example, volumetric capture, real-time rendering, social VR frameworks, enabling new business and also audience engagement models for creative industries? And for you, what are the biggest technical hurdles that must be addressed to make these models sustainable at scale?
So I think there are mostly two aspects that I would focus here on. For example, in case of volumetric video, we have one side which allows us to preserve information in a very interesting way for people also in the future. For example, now in the Amplify project, we work with Opera in Barcelona, for which we are going to record the testimonies of the ex-prisoners of political prison during Franco time in volumetric video in 3D. And this way these people can tell their stories to us, but also to the future generation. And we preserve the emotional aspect of it. So, you know, if you just watch the video of someone, it's making it, I think, a little bit less personal. If you're there in 3D, you see the person in 3D, also in a context of the prison, because we're planning to design the prison as it looked like in the past and place the ex-prisoners there. When you see this and you hear the story, being there next to this person, seeing this person as you see them in real life, this brings another emotional load to you, another like deeper emotional understanding of what happened. And I think it's very important and interesting that we can keep this for the future, that this testimony can live beyond the people that actually lived through them, and still be set to participants in a way that is a little bit more emotionally moving than just watching a flat video. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think also this technology has a possibility to maintain the social aspect of experiencing things. Even, for example, coming back to another project that I did, we created a virtual reality museum in which we placed objects that cannot be displayed in a physical museum anymore because they are so delicate that if you put them on the display, they can literally fall apart. So they are hidden there in the archive of the museum in a shelf and not really moved. So we did a scans of each of those objects, and then we put them in the social VR exhibition. But then we also decided to using volumetric capturing, to make this a social event, because for most of the people, going to museum is actually a social event. Like people like going to museums for a date or to spend time with families. People like to discuss about things they see in museums. So we thought, okay, we're doing this digital museum. It's important to keep the sociality in it. So we decided to do the live volumetric capture of two participants at the same time, and then they can visit this virtual museum together, seeing each other live, the way they look like, hearing each other live. And thanks to that, they can keep the sociality while viewing the objects that they couldn't view in other case, like in real life. It's not possible anymore to witness that. So I think those are the two opportunities I can think about that I think are very interesting for the future. They are already starting to happen, but I hope they will get more popular. And in case of difficulties, I think the problem here is still that the technology itself is not really there yet for people to just handle it on their own. And what I mean here is that it's very complex to set everything up to really use it in a correct way. So usually you need a technical person to at least help you at the beginning to set it up and to really run it. I think this is one aspect that would need to develop a little bit more for people to be able to just use it easily. Like, you know, you use your mobile phone. It's like everyday technology that you use. The VR and the volumetric capture is not an everyday technology yet. So I think as long as it's not getting there, it will be a little bit difficult to implement it into everyday life of people. And secondly, also the hardware is still quite expensive. Like, you know, you would need a headset, for example, which costs quite some for most people. It's not so easy to just buy it for everyone. Also, I think the size and the heaviness, it's quite bulky, might be not really comfortable for everybody to use. There is problem of the cyber sickness. So there are still some technological things you would need to resolve. Yeah, and finally, I think also the process of creation of the experiences like that still needs to be worked on a little bit more. This is also something that we're working on now. Like we did this in previous projects, but also in this project. I think it really requires a cooperation of really multidisciplinary teams to create good experiences. So this is still something that I believe in many projects around the world might still not be there.
Thank you so much for your fantastic answer. Yeah, I was thinking that you really create opportunities for people, as you mentioned, the museum part, also the prisoners that were arrested in the times of Franco in Spain. So that's connected once again with the emotional part, which is significant for people to really connect with these causes. And of course, it's creating these unique opportunities. But yes, I can see that the structure of these technologies and also being expensive, it's a problem. Do you think that it will be something that in the next years will be, transformed or improved, and more people will have access to this? What do you think?
I believe so. I believe I hope and I believe it's going to have a steady growth. Also now with like other technologies developing, I think it will get easier to create also VR experiences. So I honestly believe it will develop. I don't know if it will develop to the level of mobile phones, but I think it definitely will get more popular in the future.
Me too. I really hope so. Let's pass now to Joseph. So Joseph, your work explores how emerging technologies like XR and AI can feel human, intuitive, and purposeful. Based on your experience designing immersive media experiences such as TransMixR, how can designers ensure that technology remains a tool for empowerment, helping users connect, collaborate, and think more deeply, rather than simply adding complexity or novelty to the thing?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because I mean, TransMixR is a really good example because in our work package, we had a case of working with what we call the client of the project. In our case was a Irish TV broadcasting channel, which is CG4. So our first question was not how can we integrate XR in a collaborative or immersive media aspect. Our first question was to go to TG4 and ask them, like, what is the biggest challenge that you're encountering today? And after some research on the subject and interviewing members of TG4 and the direction, we discovered that one of their biggest challenges was actually that younger generations today are no longer attracted to the flat, let's say, 2D TV broadcasting media format, and they're consuming more and more their media in the English language. So TG4 had to find new ways to broadcast or to communicate their episodes and their airings in the Irish language, which was also which in ways they needed to hold the attention of users. So that's why we decided to go into a let's say XR experience of broadcasting, because in this way we wouldn't have to compromise on TG4's values, and also we could broadcast the experience and hold the attention of users. But this generated a lot of questions, like achieving a product like this, could it be integrated in daily producers' daily work lives, or like how would this tool replace actually crew members, or will it deliver high-end content, or is it trustworthy, or can we direct the show fully in that environment? So having good ideas isn't only functionalities. There was a lot of questions that we asked behind the scenes, let's say, and we had to find ways to or solutions to do that. So what we did is workshops and interviews and a lot of digging to try to understand, okay, if we found a solution from the user side, so and a solution in XR would be helpful to consume these type of medias and help TG4 reach their end goal. Well, what are the consequences? So we applied what we call the holy grail of design thinking. And it's 3 simple questions to ask. What are the business needs? What are the user needs? And is it technically feasible? And on the technical side, we had some discoveries to do. And what we had to do is study ergonomics, like if we create a solution that is mimicking a real studio, would the employees, or let's say sound designers or directors, actually use it? And we discovered that mimicking a real studio in terms of affordance was really good, because it would they know what every, let's say, toggle would do, but in terms of usability, it was kind of hard to do that in a virtual environment. So we had to lower the fidelity and downgrade it to do a minimalistic approach of mimicking, so that in terms of usability, it would be easier. And we only achieved that by testing. And so testing and iterating to find the just middle, while keeping a clear significance of each function, and it being easy to use. So that wasn't easy to reach, but at the end we managed to have something quite intuitive, and it resulted in actually a product at the end that any person, even if they're not specialists, if they put on the headset from the, let's say, directing crew, they could understand what each function does, how to direct a studio, how to use cameras and move them, and all of these things. So in our last tests, we understood that actually our product was kind of successful. And to sum it up, I think we have like some guidelines to understand in design to help us not only create functionalities, but truly products that solve solutions. And we need to ask ourselves the right questions before starting to create anything. We need to create solutions that are actually customizable and that could be adopted by users, because one size doesn't fit all. So by creating this type of solution, we allowed every user, every end user that is watching the broadcast, to navigate the environment on their own, to create their own understanding of the show, to define the results. So we didn't impose on them a narration in which we showed them a frame of the camera, and this is only what they see. We showed them the full environment in 360 around them, so that they can conclude the episode, and this allowed them to adopt and understand really the episode. And also we gave them a social aspect to it, so that in the social aspect, we allowed multiple users to join with each other, to comment to each other, to talk to each other, so that they can also iterate solutions and co-create an understanding of what we are displaying here. And we also worked on a very clear roadmap, and I think that was important, because we needed to prioritize the pain points of the client first, which was TG4, and put them in orders of importance, so that we can, with the time frame that we had, resolve the most important pain points, and then move on to at the end were like kind of functionalities or nice to haves. And I think the most important thing is continuously testing with the users and iterate accordingly, because rolling out products that are well done, but at the end they don't serve any use, or they don't resolve any problems, won't be adoptable by users.
Of course, I can see that here that TG4 is it's a broadcasting company, as you told us. Can you tell us in what level of implementation of these solutions that you are creating they are? So what has been done until now or adopted by them? Just curiosity from my side.
Yeah, of course. So the thing is that we started from our side at Immersion in the beginning to do very, like, after having a very clear roadmap and knowing what we wanted, we worked a lot on software before even implementing prototypes. And when we had like and the end of the first year, like a compact, very robust prototype, we tested it and we saw that it wasn't actually realistically adoptable by the user. So we had to restart over again. And what we did is that we developed small bricks and we implemented them at the clients. So what happened at the end is that, or today, is that in TG4 they have a studio in which they have 4 Kinect cameras to capture in volumetric, which was a solution provided by CWI. And to do volumetric streaming in live, to be able to stream a presenter in a studio that is talking to the people. And they have also a director's application in the headset, which allows them to manage camera point of views, changing environments if they're in a studio or if they're in a 360 environment. Also, they have a 360 camera for journalists that want to go on the field and do live reporting. So the final idea was that a presenter captured in volumetric would be sitting in a studio, and end users wearing headsets, they're watching this presenter in the same studio in front of them in volumetric capture, talking to them and telling them like the story of the episode. And from time to time, he would switch studios, go to another 3D model studio that we made, like let's say a ski slope area in which he can like talk to them about ski. That was one of our examples. And then he can change the environment to a 360 bubble in which the users are, and in which they see live a journalist that is reporting from the field. And so they have this full setup functional in their studio. And we duplicated the same setup in our company so that we can, every time they give us bugs and reports, we can modify them and iterate and send them new versions of the software as the hardware won't change. And it's a continuous, let's say, upgrading system. So the two systems are in both locations, and we just update in ours and send to theirs.
Such interesting process. So now between us we talked about concert for babies and deaf babies and blind people. Then we talked about prisoners saying experiences. Then we talked about artifacts in museums that are very fragile for people to see them. And then we talked about journalists being in different landscapes and have this 360 view. And so it's very interesting, your work, and very different, but that's the main objective of this webinar, is like the opportunities beyond reality that gives to people in society, right? So this was our main subject, and that's exactly what you are doing. And it's very funny, Joseph, that you have this connection with CWI where Karolina works, so with the volumetric video. So that's very nice to know also. For the sake of time, because we have 20 minutes and then we open a little bit for Q&A, even if we had questions before. Projects like TransMixR and AMPLIFY aim to bridge artistic expression and advanced technology, as we know. What do you think are the key ingredients for successful collaboration between artists, technologists, and institutions in this very evolving and rapid, like hybrid landscape, so to say? Who wants to go first?
I'm on.
Okay, Paulo, let's go. I knew it would be you this time.
But, well, I think it's very important to realize that we have different grammars, different vocabularies. When we join artists with researchers, with institutions, we don't live in the same world. And I think it's very important. Joseph told that we need the right questions before we do anything. And I think we need to drink coffee or beer or do a promenade together, artists, researchers, and institutions, because what we need before anything is to have a common desire, a common goal, a common need, not a need connected or a question connected with our expertise, our institution, but we need a common question for the society, the city where we live, the country, our friends, our sons and daughters. We need a common questions. And what I feel is when we drink a coffee first and we feel each other and we accept and we discover, and there is an epiphany of something that researchers, artists, and institutions want to do together, because usual we artists, we need public, we need likes, we need visibility. Researchers need papers, patents. Institutions need rankings, top, be on top. But if we just do this, even if we are the best artists, the best researchers, the biggest institutions, we don't do nothing. We just spend time. So I think to tune our different vocabularies, we need to know each other a little better. It's not enough to join together. It's not enough. In 3 years project, in 1 hour of webinar, of 10 face-to-face meetings, it's not enough. Previous to all of this, we need to together look to the world, look to our landscape, and discover something in common, a desire in common. I think this is the first thing. If we don't invest, if we don't take care at this first moment, it's the prelude of the project. We don't achieve a good result. We just achieve good patents, good papers. We go on top in the rankings, but this disappears after a few seconds. So I think artists, we are restless. We need to do something. We need to find new ways. And researchers have the tools, have the practice of build, of improve something. Institutions nowadays are very important because we are talking about politics. We are talking about money, community money. Research in Europe, it's totally different of research in China, India, States. And of course, we need to achieve a common table, a common garden, a common landscape to create. After that, okay, after that we can work. But I think we need this first moment. We need to be together before we have the project, because all the artists, all the technological have the question, have the proposal, and we join together to work on it. This is not enough.
I agree with you, Paulo. So it's kind of a bridge that is needed to be formed before for institutions, artists, technologists to function well together. As we say, like the most important businesses sometimes they are done in a lunch or a coffee, or for example in northern countries they are done in saunas, for example, as people told me.
Totally right. We need saunas together. And then, sorry, just another little thing. When we artists listen to talk about users, these expressions, so the users, please, Joseph, Karolina, and all the researchers, We are the users. We are the users. When we need to feel that everything we do is to everyone. So we are part of the users. So if we just think in the others, again, we are talking about community. We have different expertises, knowledges, but we have common values, common planet, common goals. And I think we need to take care of these common things. Anytime we put our eyes and our brain and our money in something just to me, to my institution, we are losing the big picture, what really matters. We are the users in all projects. Sorry.
It was fantastic. Someone wants to add something?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right on that. When we dumb it down by talking about user, but also and specifically in, like, let's say, service design, what we try to achieve is that we don't like that much the word user because it defines like a customer or a client, and we use the word like human experience because it doesn't only consider what is the. When we talk about user, we say users are, how can we provide something to make a user go in a certain way? So to direct them in a condition. When we talk about humans, we go in a more aspect where what do they feel, what do they need? A very good example is, and we say all the time, like what a user wants is not what a user needs. In an example, we're not doing any commercials, but like in a very recent example with Netflix, let's say, they tried to do a test in which they said, okay, today we will give our users a very brief sample of the movies that we have to show them what are our options that we can provide them and hope that they would subscribe to us. And this was what the users wanted. But actually, when they look at the catalog, they saw that, well, they didn't have that much of good elements, or they didn't find, let's say, the shows that they wanted. So their subscription rates went down because it wasn't what they actually needed. And this is a subtlety. It's that also going further than asking the correct questions is that do not create something that is very literal. You need to also be creative, go in abstract solutions and test stuff, because you never know where the idea can come from. You can just have a very idea that you can consider kind of dumb, but when you test it out, you'll see that, well, there's a market for it. There's people that want it. It serves a purpose. And as long as something serves a purpose and that it provides a solution for somebody, well, it is useful.
You're absolutely right. Karolina, do you want to add something?
Yes, definitely. So I for sure agree with the language. It's often a first barrier that we encounter, that technical team is talking about something and the artistic team is understanding something else, and vice versa. Artistic team is talking about something and from our understanding it's something completely different. So I agree, we really need to work closely together a lot to understand each other and to know where we want to go. And I also wanted to talk a little bit more about like the whole process of developing things, maybe coming back to the example of the museum where I had this experience. So what I know is that still very often the process of creating digital exhibition or technology enhanced exhibitions is that either the curators just have their idea, create a story, create like the whole curation part, and then they ask the technical team to kind of implement it. So it starts from one team and it's handed over to another team, and it not always works really well. So what I believe in is that it's very important for the both teams to work closely together from the very beginning, from the initial ideas, discussions, the first brainstorming meetings through the requirement collection, and then through the whole design process up to the very end. Everybody should take part in all the meetings and really actively take part in them so that we don't lose on things. Giving an example, sometimes for example, museum curators might not be aware that the technology can do something. So they can miss on very interesting aspects of, let's say, an exhibition because they just don't know that that's an option. And if we have this conversation from the very beginning, then people can communicate, can discover more new possibilities and come with more interesting ideas. But also other way around, like sometimes if it's very separated work, the technical team may spend hours, days working on something, and then the curators will be like, well, we don't like that. It doesn't fit our story. It doesn't fit our museum. So this is on the other side, a waste of time, waste of money, while they could have just worked on it together from the very beginning and just avoid all of these problems. So I think this cooperation over a very long time on each element, even if potentially it seems that maybe it's not so relevant for you, but you're important there because you're part of the whole thing. So your perspective is always very important in each stage. So I think this is very, very important.
Yes, you're right. Like if we consider the opinions of, like, we are the users, but you know, the people that are inside what we are doing, like from the beginning, it would spare, I think, a lot of hours of work, and it would facilitate a lot. So I really agree with you. We have 3 questions here on the chat. So maybe before passing to the other question, we can answer. So I think 2 questions are more or less the same. So which single technology is the biggest game changer right now? Because the other question is, what are some of the key technologies or tools that you see driving the most compelling work right now? So I think it's more or less the same question. I don't know if one of you can answer to this, but I think it's a very interesting question for us to see the technological part also. So yeah, if you can say something, go ahead.
I can go for that if you want. So I work with technology on regular basis every day, from testing new VR headsets, as we basically at Immersion we probably tested them all till today. Other AI solutions, AR hardware, wearables, and elements like that. And I feel like today everybody is talking about AI, but in reality, I feel like AI is coming to a bottleneck where there are a handful of providers that are creating very big solutions and smaller ones that are recycling their work to make new solutions. So at the end, we're seeing a lot of repetition until new technologies will come. It's also limited to hardware, to computing power, all of these things. And I think the biggest like technology that is now today being talked about and developed is wearable microtechnology that can, especially in medical field, monitoring health, analysis, and generating data. Because in the end, big technology providers, their biggest goal is to generate data and to study behavior. So now wearables are growing very quickly and into a lot of use cases that we're seeing that are kind of useful. In terms of creativity, it's not that creative, but in terms of market sizes, it is a very like growing market.
Great, thank you so much. Someone else wants to add their point of view?
I'm not sure if it's answering about right now, because I think the question was about what's happening now. I think interesting case for the future, though, is the connection between the technologies. For example, taking the very popular right now AI and virtual reality. When the technologies get to the point when it will be really easy to generate virtual worlds, I think it will get very big because everybody will be able to create their own world, which is like I think it will open a lot of doors for a lot of people, but also a lot of creative industry and things like that. So I don't know when it will happen and if it will happen, but if it happens, I think it's going to be like a big thing.
Here are here is I don't know if you wanted to say something, Paulo, but we have a third question that is also related to technology, so I can mention this, and if you want to add something. For a medium-sized creative business, which beyond reality technology do you see as the lowest risk entry point for an initial investment? So this is kind of elaborate question. I don't know if you want to step in, but... Or you want me to repeat? I can also put it on the chat. Here, if you can see it. And if you don't have insights for now, you can answer a little bit later. Let me know.
I mean, I think that's something that would interest Paulo, because really good technologies today, knowing that they're not as performing as, let's say, analog or whatever, are in the music industry. There's a lot of, it became so accessible, and there's a lot of tools for it to create new type of music and experiment with it, to not only from a composition point of view, but also experimenting on effects. Like, let's say today we're working in virtual headsets, and when we change environments, like let's say we're in a cathedral, we can make the audio of the person that's talking next to us resonate as if he's in a real cathedral. And when we move to a small room, the resonance will change to a resonance of a small room. And these subtle changes that we are experiencing today, they augment the experience in a very subtle way that gives a lot of context without having to describe it and write it down. And I feel like working in these technologies today and developing these things and using these tools that are already put out there for the public can allow startups and small companies and people who just want to do their own project, if you're doing a game or a software or whatever, just including these small elements could really be a game changer and distinguish you from the rest of the community that just want to do fast-paced stuff and launch and and commercialize.
Someone wants to add something else, or we can move to the next question, because I see that François Matarazzo, which is from the Amplify project also, wrote, how can we maintain trust in technologies we don't understand? Good question, François. Anybody wants to step in?
Trust. Always, Francois, put the finger on the on the place. I think we need to trust each other. We need to have a relation with people. We need to know which are the ones that create this, which are the ones that, why they do this. I think it's a matter of trust. Why this exists? What motivates this institution to make this? We need to know the story. We need to know the story. I think stories are important, stories of the people, the ones that create. What really motivates this? Why people pay this? Why the European Commission pay this? Why? What for? What are the politics for this? And I think trust is something that we that just exists if we, because we trust in people, not in. I think it's not possible to trust in apps, in technologies. We trust in people. We know. We talk about Elon Musk. We talk about this because when we know the people, what motivates these people, we create a relation with the tools. Like in real life, this is not new. This is as from the prehistory times. We trust people. We need to trust each other. And then what we do is connected with our values. So to me, in my opinion, we need to give us opportunity to make laws, if we need laws, to know Who are the ones that build this? Why they do this? The story of the people. And then I choose if I agree or not. Like sometimes we have a friend that it's a great expert on something, but because we don't like their values, the way you think, we don't go to drink a coffee or beer with him or with her. It's a matter of trust. It's not the interest of the tool. Oh, it's an amazing tool, but I don't want to use an amazing tool made by this guy. Like the Tesla cars now, you know, the market of the Tesla cars. I don't want to use, I love this car. After I know a little bit more about this person, I don't want to use this, even if it's a great car. So it's a matter of trust in people. We know the story of people. And that's why the fake news and the Photoshop nowadays of people in internet, it's a big risk. We need to know the real people, not with the screen, not with the logo, not with designers. No, the real one, blood, touch each other, smell each other. This is the point. Sorry.
Blood. I loved it. Now you're absolutely right. And it's very, very difficult nowadays to understand the truth behind things. Like, what is the real truth? Where is it? What can we read? What can we hear? What can we see that it's the truth or not? I had this very interesting European project, which is called Verity. It's over now, but it was about misinformation, about stewards of trust, who to trust. And I think this is a very important question. Sorry, Joseph and Karolina, if you want to say something. I stopped you from talking.
Yes. So firstly, I definitely agree. Like especially at the beginning, when the technology is new, we have to talk about it and make people understand, not necessarily on a very technical level, but on the like purpose level and generally how it works. I have a little bit of a sad insight, let's say, because I think when the technology gets big, it's not a problem of maintaining trust. The problem is other way around, like people overly trust things that are mainstream. So for example, if we take AI right now, like most people don't really question it, and that's our problem. It's not a problem for people to trust in it. It's problem that they trust it too much. So I think in a case of trust, this after the technology gets mainstream, the problem is other way around. And maybe this is also something, if we want to be ethical, we should try to avoid. It's not maybe the best business approach, but ethically, I think it's the better thing to do.
Joseph, you want to add something?
I think you guys said it all. It's like I'm 100% with that. I don't have any comments, but actually, like, yeah, knowing the values and the means of why somebody made something tells you a lot about the product. So one issue probably is that sometimes people are too lazy to do the research or to get to know and in this case, well, you cannot allow yourself to judge why can I trust this. You need to also do your effort from your side, because as we say in France, that the law doesn't cover the ones that don't do the effort. So it's also an initiative that somebody needs to take to trust something and to get to know the person.
Yeah, you have to work to explore, because if you don't do it, you're on your own. I think it's the thing that the French law.
A big company that's creating a product is not gonna be aware. It's not gonna consider, to be very honest. Should I be honest with I don't know how many billions of people? Their end goal is to make money. So it's not something that they're gonna put in their titles. So yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Okay, so for the sake of time, because we pass 4 minutes also, I will just finish with this question. So looking ahead, what excites you most about the creative possibilities beyond reality? How do you imagine this innovation shaping the future of art and culture in the next decade?
I can start then. Yeah, so I think from my perspective, I think engagement of people, of the audiences, of is the thing that is very exciting. So, for example, I can give an example from my life, maybe to illustrate it a little bit. I'm dancing, so sometimes I take part in the dance performances. And I remember once we had a performance where we would engage a person from the audience. And this we knew from which seat we're going to take the person out. And because we are aware that not everybody really is eager to do that, and sometimes for people it's difficult, we would purposefully sit there a person that some of us knew that would be fine with that, to engage this specific person. And I think it's nice to engage the audience, but in a setup that is right now, it's very limited to select a really small amount of people, and really often I think also a selected person before selected person. And I think it would be really nice if we could engage more everybody in the audience, for example, in performing arts. And also, I think if it's going to be done through the technology, people will be feeling less stressed about it. Because, now when the actor takes you on the stage, the whole room is looking at you, and you might not feel very comfortable with that. But if this is more like, that this performance is kind of for you, like there are other people, but they maybe not necessarily like stare at you and you don't see their faces, maybe it's a bit more comfortable for people also to like take initiative and take part, and then also gain a pleasure from it. So I think this is I don't know, I think I would really like that as an audience, to be more engaged, but not necessarily put on the stage and feel like I have to prove myself on a chill evening that I wanted to just be entertained. And then secondly, I think the technology can bring a lot of opportunities to fit the content of things to the people. So for example, one other project we're working at is making an experience out of a historical book about fish. And this is like a very old Dutch book from like, I think 16th century or something, where the guy was, he was very passionate about fish. So when he would find out an interesting fish, he would draw it and write some information about it, but also he would write some legends about mermaids and stuff like this. And this is like very important book in Dutch book history, let's say it like that. But a lot of people like don't really read books like that, so it's very limited to a very small amount of people that are interested in it. But doing an experience about it, which is interactive and tells this story, I think this opens this information to a way broader audience, which for me is very exciting, because there is so much information out there that is not easily accessible for people, that we can make interesting, and we can make people learn something that they wouldn't otherwise, and also get interested in things. So yeah, that's from my perspective, two things that I think excites me more about the future possibilities of technology.
Well,
Someone wants to
um,
compliment? Sorry, Paul.
just a few words about this. Well, I think that the future as an artist, what we will achieve, it's other artistic forms, other ways of describe emotions, other ways to describe the world, and more deeply, but also more individualistic. I'm sure this, it's like Karolina share. Well, we become afraid to the others, the faces of the others. We want to be protected, and we find solutions. And nowadays, with mental health problems in all societies, we try to maintain a way of problems, and people, different people, unfortunately, is a problem for most part of us. I want to be protected. I want to deal with a machine that I turn off when I want, I think, but in fact, I don't turn off when I want. So, for one side, I know that we will achieve new artistic forms, and to create, it's amazing. I also want to use it, and I know that a lot of artists in sound design, of course, Joseph, you are totally right. I have a friend here in my city that made a little enterprise, Sound Particles. Nowadays, he have a big company, all the movies in the United States are using these sounds, but what I believe is we will need, because of all of this individual and very special experience, we will need to be together, and we will need to schedule time to be together. Because when we use these technologies, we are sharing data, just data. We need to share our souls. We need to share hugs. And I hope that everything are growing up in a way that I have some time to these new artistic forms, new ways of be connected with data, but it's more special the time that I need to plan in my diary to be with other people. This is crucial to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is something that will be an addition to what we have now. Definitely not a replacement. I would be very sad in the world if that would be replaced.
No one wants to be replaced. Joseph, you want to add something?
Yeah. The most interesting aspect, I think, is the collaborations, discovering other people, what they do, trying to find collaborations that allow you to create new, let's say, possibilities. Because like if you never play around, you'll never find out. So to see what are the possibilities, to be able to imagine, to create all of these aspects, everything starts from an idea. So I think, and as the technology is here and we have common grounds that it could be useful for multiple people, let's find ideas that we can share to each other and create something new, because if we don't do that, we're going to keep going into a repetitive cycle in which we're just launching apps and software and stuff, and at the end you're gonna have 50 versions of Uber, let's say, so it's only by collaborating and talking and networking, and it's never easier, on social profiles, LinkedIn, other stuff. You can, even people that you don't know, you can just reach out, look, I'm interested in what you do, and we work in aspects that could be interesting. Let's collaborate and create something new.
That's a great way to finish our webinar. Thank you so much to our speakers, and thank you to the people that are with us right now after 12 minutes of the time passing. This was the end of our 3 webinar episode, and we finished in a great way. So thank you so much for all your interventions, wiseness, and knowledge about these topics, which are topics that are very indeed like, how can I say, they were never so important as now. So thank you so much. And I hope that we can have more webinars together. You reflected very well what AMPLIFY and TransMIXR aim to do. So opportunities beyond reality is what our projects aim to do. And I hope they, in the end, have very good results. I know that they will. Yeah, and thank you again all for being here. I will just end with this, and that's it. Nothing else to say. So have a good day and see you next time.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sarah.
so much.
Nice to be with you.
Bye bye. Nice to be with you too. It was a pleasure.